I'll start by calling out the moderator for this session. Please let's give a round of applause for Arrow Margaret as she comes onto the stage. Thank you so much for coming. You really inspire us, and I'm glad that you're on this session. Thank you so much for your. Next, we're going to welcome Chidera Favour KK, NLP lawyer. Please a round of applause for Chidera. Thank you so much, Chidera, for coming. Thank you. Guys, these are my friends. I'm feeling hyped. Okay, so let's welcome the next person. Chiso Obunado, Senior Advocate of the University of Nigeria, and the President Vice President of ONSA. Please a round of applause for our first stage. Thank you so much now for coming. Then on to the next. Please let's welcome Patrick and Eken, Senior Advocate of the University of Nigeria. You can bow them forward. Thank you so much, Patrick, for coming. Thank you. Next is Muna Chinso Ochiabu. So please let's welcome Muna, who's currently the President of the Entertainment Law Club, former President. Thank you so much, Muna, for coming. Thank you so much. All right.
They apparently saved the best session for last. After the session, so please just sit tight. We'll be given 30 minutes and we plan to use just that. Before we begin, if you're like me and we've been here since 10, you're not tired, alright? So can we do like a very little exercise? Very little. If we've been here since 10, you just stand. If you're working later, you can just support them. Stand as well. Something very little. Just get up. I'm moving on the point exercise. I know it doesn't refer to my head. So if you're happy and you know you say hooray. Change the time, right? If you're active and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're active and you know it, shout hooray! Hooray! If you're active and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're active and you know it, stamp your feet. I know dance and step are not, if you did not. Okay, thank you very much. Good day now. Okay, so I think I say that it's a pleasure to moderate this session. I think we're in the age of internships. I mean, virtual internships, physical internships, even spiritual internships. I mean, apparently we say the internships. And one thing I should start by saying is that we don't know everything, but we know something, and we want to share that something with you. So I'll be starting with our Vice President, University of Nigeria Students Bar Association, the foremost students bar in Nigeria. Okay, so Nando, the first question is, as a student, or rather as an undergraduate student, when do you think is the right time to start searching for internships or seeking out new opportunities? When do you think people should put their ear to the ground and apply for internships?
Okay, thank you, Margaret. So, when I was in first year, there was an advice given to me, but I didn't take it. As early as first year, seek out internships, then you see teaching, enter, say, I look at everybody, funny names that I've never heard. I mean, the only names that we hear of are the oil companies that are very popular companies, but we don't know these other guys. But for some reason, which is like, I think it's just like what happened to my life, I started seeking opportunities from third year. Like I became intentional. The first CV I ever drafted was in my third year. LinkedIn was, I think, came in 2014 or 15 or so. But I remember this is where your founder was very instrumental to my journey of visibility. Then you come on LinkedIn and you see someone that is your classmate, 500 plus connections. I'm like, how? It's like Facebook where they buy friends or Instagram. And I entered his DM. I've never spoken with Luther. We don't talk in class. As an aside, I felt he was too proud. I never spoken to him. But that shows you how much I was intentional, just like the former panel had said. I didn't care who I was speaking to. That's what I can speak to my enemies, so far I'm going to use that knowledge to forge ahead. And I entered Luther's DM. Luther told me, now to change your DP first. That DP is not giving, it's not professional. Do this one. These are the people you should look out to. These are names. I will check his posts. Anyone I see him snap with, anyone I see commenting, I don't know the algorithm that they uses, but it has a way of making people that stand out in your comments. Like for example, if Reginald and should like comment on a post, for some reason it will just be there. I don't know if because of mutual connections. I'll follow up that person. So as an advice, I feel how I did it was the best way for me. But I know people that maybe if you're exposed to law, in my family there's no one that is a lawyer. So maybe that accounted for the fact that it's in the third year. I started seeking out internships. But some people, your father is a lawyer, your mother is a lawyer. I know people that their aunties, uncles are partners. During SS2 holidays, they're already interning at Aluko. I mean, we see them there. So if you're exposed that early, please do it. But if you are not, I feel the best time is to understand yourself. I did not play first year to third year, no. I didn't just sit down, my grades 3.0, my GP 3.0, and I said, no, I want to go, no. Those were my best of grades those years, because I wanted to focus on my academics. So if you're not interning for the first 3 years, you should be smashing 4.8, 4.9. Because, yes, I don't want to go further, but that's just the summary. Like, if you're not interning, and if you're interning, it should boost you to do more, because yes, you have gone out, you have seen the competition. Your competitor is not the person that is answering, sir, legal system is law, is something that binds us together. No, your competitor is that person that is coming from Nottingham University, coming to intern with you. That's your competitor. So I feel when you understand what you want, when you're exposed to law, first year you're not exposed. I mean, you can just play. First year I was chilling my holiday, going all around Lagos. So the third year I started, and I feel I would advise anyone that if you are not opportunity already to be exposed to internship.
Thank you very much. Okay, so follow-up question. I think from third year to final year, right? Everybody, right? You have a number of experiences. So let's say, like the last panel said, there is a lot of areas that people are going into. So let's say you have skills from different areas that are not directly related to law. How do you balance these ancillary skills or experiences on your CV?
Thank you, Margaret. I think that's a very, very interesting question, and it's becoming a problem because the world has changed from when we were in first year. First year, like it's a big deal. You intern in this place. You're the only person in 1,000 students that have gone there. But now, internship is as cheap as Gary. If you know the way, it's as cheap as anything. So for me, when you go to my LinkedIn, you see this one, that one. My CV is very different from that page. And I think that's very important. I've not been opportunity to see many CVs like from school, from our schools, but I've seen CVs from people I've interned with, and I'm like, okay, this should go out, this should stay. Nothing stops you from having 2 CVs. I know some people are interested in community service, UNESCO, UNICEF, even this Qatar World Cup as an assist or something. Nothing stops you. I met someone, she had 2 CVs. She has the law CV, which has this one, LLB, top 1% of this class, top 1 of legal method, and all those things. And there's another CV for her, UNICEF things, Leap Africa, this one, UPA Foundation, this foundation, Jack Rich, and many things. Nothing stops you from having 2. I feel when you pick up your CV, right? What do you want me to know about you? And not just what do you want me to know about you? Okay, that I've interned in Orlando Ajayi. Trust me, there are some places I did not send that CV to, right? So it depends on every opportunity, and I think that's one thing that people don't do. After they intern, they just rush on their laptop. Even in the firm, they August, Van go that Lagos, I did this one, I did that one, I did it. Okay. And I call you morning from your sleep. Help draft a prospectus for a bond issuance. It's a major club. You want to establish a merchant bank or something, and you can't answer, but they are all on your CV. I think that's what all partners tell us, that whatever you put on your CV, be ready to defend it. And nothing stops you from changing your CV, like editing it as much as you want. That my LinkedIn is just there for perspective. Maybe it's still in my head, so I just want it to be there. But in a couple of years, it will change. Why? Something is very important. As I was getting all these internships, I discovered that, or I felt that if you were, for example, if you were Mr. Banwo, right, and you are Mr. Lupo, or let me not use names. If you are Mr. A, if you are Chidera and you are Patrick, right, and you really like this student, Mona, and you come to his, like, okay, you admire him, his resilience, his academics, EGS, this, that, and you come to his page on LinkedIn, and you are seeing your competitors all over. It's not the best of ideas, right? And maybe it should serve as a correction. I don't know, however you want to take it. Or many of you have interned severally. These people, right, want you because they have seen something in you that their competitor will not have. These employers are looking at it from a business perspective, not your career. But us, we are looking at it as what? From the career perspective, right? You want to start off your career and there's this thing, you want to. But when you come to my LinkedIn, that I've interned there is not on my post. That I've interned there is not on any post. I would only post if you invite me for something, if I was opportune to meet a chairman or a managing partner from, for example, when a Butcher came here. Those are the kind of things, like something that is not linked. I would not mention a firm on my post. I think that's very important, which will become a problem moving forward. For example, you're in an oil company, then you have Shell, Chevron, Mobil, this one, Wando, all their competitors it begins to question your loyalty. Then you have to comment on posts, because they are also looking at you. That's one thing about standing out when you go for an internship. They are looking at you, and they are seeing, those HR, they are seeing HR. They know themselves. They do retreat, so they know themselves. I think HR will commenting on your post. It's like these people are related like this. So I think people should just know how to selectively position yourself. That you are not everywhere doesn't mean it will be scattered all over your page. Your CV, pick out those particular ones.
Okay, thank you very much, Gladbeer. I know we did plan a little side session linked optimization and CV reviews, but for want of time, if you have any further questions on so please just approach her directly immediately after the session. So the next question will go to Phinna. Okay, so Mona, I want to know, your opinion. Do you think there is a need to even intern? I mean, we've had so many questions about people asking, is it really important? There's so much social pressure, peer pressure, once I do so and so internship. I mean, there was something that was trending. Someone wrote a comment on, I think, a blog that he wasn't taking it easy, going on LinkedIn and seeing everybody. I'm happy to announce that. I'm delighted to announce that. Well, what's your opinion? Do you think we should? Do you think this is good pressure or bad pressure?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Margaret, thank you for that communication. It's like there was this flurry of internships between these 8 months that we said they should on strike. Everybody, I'm happy to announce, everybody's happy to announce. Like everybody in there, every single person in there. But it's created something, and it's created some sort of social pressure. And I think that's what your question is. I have a friend, he's a junior colleague. So we were talking, and so we were talking, and she was actually telling me how she has not been getting internships and this and how it was weighing her down. It was during the strike, the period when everyone was happy to announce. Everyone was really happy to announce that period. And she told me that she was down actually. Not that she told me, I knew that she was very down. So we were talking, and she was telling me how her classmates, how her friends self are getting this, are getting that, and getting this. And this person is not, how would I put it? Is not totally focused on law as it is. I don't know how to put it. Okay, the primary interest, I will not say it is law as it's perceived. The law student, obviously. But the person is much more interested in fashion designing, fashion, and all that. And that's what I want to talk on. You know, what the social and peer pressure does to us is that it shifts your focus from what it is you actually want to what the majority want. So I really want A. But then G, F, Z, H, R, E, F, all of them are going towards B. So I start questioning, let me leave this A and go towards B. Don't do it. Don't. Social pressure does something to us. Peer pressure does something to us. It puts weights on our shoulders. And the weight is, I want to do this. I want to actually do this. I want to go this way. But people are going this way. So I'll go this way. And in going that way, I'm putting weights on myself. I'm not happy going that way. But because people are going that way, let me just go that way. You know, before I do anything, I'm this person that, I don't get it. I'm this person that I love opportunities so much. If I see, if I'm going through my status and someone posts, there is this essay competition, I'll screenshot it, I'll start writing on it. Like, even if I may say I'll write on it, maybe I may not write on it again, but my first instinct is that I'll write on it. If I see something, my first instinct is that I'm going to apply. If I see anything, my first instinct is that I'm doing this. So I'm that kind of person. So, but that will not still make me want to do this or do that because people are doing it. Like, okay, yes. Why I say I'm that kind of person, the reason why I pointed out is that is because before I do anything, whether it's any application whatsoever, because I'm something close to a perfectionist. Before I dread making applications because I take hours, days before I make, because I want my application to be perfect. So before I even start doing any application, I ask myself a question. I know that I want each and every one of us to always ask ourselves before you do anything. Why am I doing this? What is your intention? This is those two things for you. One, it either makes you pursue that with every kind of vim and vigor you have in you. And two, it either slows you down. And whenever it slows me down, I don't do it at all. Always ask yourself, why am I doing this? What will benefit me? Welcome, Sabute. Welcome. Please, let's give a round of applause for Okay, let's just go on so I'll not wait much time. Okay, can we bring back the focus here? Okay, can we bring the focus? Are we good? Okay, so as I was saying, you ask yourself your intention for doing what you do. Because it is not right to follow the majority. It's not right to say, I want it. No, it's very good to dabble your hands on different things. But at the end of the road, what does your heart beat for? Find it, do it. Don't say, I'm doing this because this favor it's not favor. Now, favor intent in the work. Like, she went outside the country to do intent. She intended in mass. She intended everywhere. And that's a good thing. But it should not, human beings normally, as human, and maybe it's your classmate or whatsoever, and you say, I feel like, I feel was doing this, feel was doing that, and then you want to, like, always stop yourself. I always stop myself in the tracks and then, no, like, what, do I really want this? If I want this, then I'm going to believe I can get it and work towards it. Do you understand? So, I don't want they always tell me it's oppression, they always tell me pressure. Look, that pressure, that social pressure, that peer pressure, you should start training yourself for you not to have an effect on you. Honestly. Because if you keep on doing that, you start doing things because people are doing it and not because you really want to do it. That's why I always respect many of my classmates. Because it's as if from our class, we have found out things that we want and we really want to do. Chidera is focused on energy. And I'm not saying that you cannot put your hands into other things. You can also actually check out other things. But apart from checking out other things, like, what does your heart really? Because even if you try a flurry of things, if you try that those mirrors of you do this, you do this, at the end, each and every one of us, you know that which your heart is, you know that which you really, really want to do. So take off the weight. Don't follow the crowd. Don't follow pressure. Don't allow that pressure to get to you. It will come, but don't allow it to get to you. Do you understand? Don't allow it to get to you. Like, this is the only thing I can get from this afternoon. I have done my job here. I don't want you to always feel you're going to pass. Some people they freeze their LinkedIn app. They don't want to win the game because every time someone is happy to announce. But that should not deter you. Honestly, that should not deter you. I'm trying to round up. Yeah, I'm trying to round up. So that should not deter you. You really want to do this, you go on and do that. If it is entertainment run and you're very interested in, maybe Opanko, you heard of Opanko. Opanko was saying that he's focusing on sports law. Everybody, the intern is, if it's not vice if it's not ADR, where is Silota? If it's not tax, where are they? If it's not energy, like, there are a lot of interns that people say, this is the gang corporate thing. But no. Create your path and work in it. Don't allow any person to order you into their path, to force you to their path to be the things they do. No, they are doing it for themselves. That's good for them. And like everyone, we all have our path. You have to work in that path. Don't leave your path and work in another person's own. You don't know what your path holds for you. You don't know the blessing that your path holds for you. One person said he's interested in sports, and when he was even telling me, was telling me that I should find all these sports law opportunities, I was really impressed. There was time I should get in touch with Paris Samuel, you know Paris Samuel, the sports law group, and I was really impressed that he's really pursuing this, and he's not giving attention to what the thing that is happening. If it's not electricity, if it's not tax, if it's not what are they? Capital markets, all these things that you hear and be like, if you don't, so you have to find your path and work in it. You can decide to go into all those things, but primarily, as I said earlier, what does your heart accept? Find it and do it. Thank you.
Okay, Muna, thank you so much. I think the key thing I got from what he said is know what you want. And but I feel there's a subtle attack on the happy to announce category on LinkedIn. Am I right? You feel so too? So I think maybe just as an aside, I would love to get more clarity from Sapute. He just wanted. So Sapute, I just want to know, I would like to know your opinion. Do you think this kind of visibility is good for an undergraduate student? Visibility in the sense that if you get a new opportunity, the first thing you do is you want to go online and then you post about it, you talk about it. I understand that it causes pressure, as Phinna has mentioned, but do you think it's important for an undergraduate student now to have this kind of visibility?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Daniel. So regarding visibility, we are in a career whereby if you don't talk about your work, nobody knows about it, right? So I think from very personal experience, visibility is very important. Visibility on your social media, on your WhatsApp, on your Twitter, on Instagram, it's really important. And I'll just tell you a brief story of how I got my first job. I got my first job on Twitter, right? I didn't apply formally, right? So when I finished law school, I've seen people send my CV on Twitter, and then they post below. Some of you may have seen that post, right? So from that post, a lot of people jumped into my DM. So managing directors, HRs, I was getting different offers up and down just by posting my CV on Twitter. So the point is this: if you don't talk about your work, nobody knows about it. Even the Bible says that you don't light the candle, right, and keep it under the bushel, right? So I think it's important to talk about what you do. Thank you.
So thank you so much. Just for small, I think of Tabate. Okay, so Tabate is a former chief judge, University of Nigeria. He left, I think, 2019, and he's currently an associate with Olaniwu Ajayi. Olaniwu Ajayi is, I think they call them the Rolls Royce of law firms. So, in summary, it's any big box. So, I think that's the beautiful thing about a panel session. You get to hear many opinions, many insights, and then you from there you draw your own perspective, right, from what they've said. So the next question will go to Chidera. Chidera, I think everybody knows Chidera as the energy group. So I want to know, is it important for undergraduates, right, to specialize in a particular area, like varsity in school? And I mean, you were the second. There's something you got recently, a scholarship called EUI, and the only 2 people they selected in Nigeria, and was one of them. And that's just because of the course. I'm sorry, the world. And that's because he started focusing on energy. I think since 3rd year, he has written articles about energy law, and he has held himself out as an energy enthusiast. So I want to know, is it something you encourage undergraduates to do, or do you think it changes you in any way?
Hi everyone, I'm Chidera, and as you all know, I'm an energy enthusiast. So I think it all boils down to everything everyone has said, which is to find what you actually want to do. So in my first and second year, I think the main thing then was fintech and all of those good things. And I looked at them and I was bored. And it bored me. I don't think I was interested in. And I didn't settle myself to anything. Because I'm sort of, it also boils down to who you are. I'm a single-minded person. I used to be able to focus on one thing. I don't know how to spread myself so thin, right? So sometimes people spread themselves so thin in their interest that there's no opportunity to build substance because you're here. There's no opportunity to, compound on something. And I was just there and I just kept on, working and looking and doing all that until I got into Aluko within my 3rd year. And just an aside, and I think this is where relationship with senior colleagues come in, right? I noticed there was that disconnect after my level. Everyone just did their thing. But then in my time when I was in 1st and 2nd year, there was that connection. And I know I wouldn't have gotten into Aluko if He's not going to come into my room then in hostel and said, he told me he's not going to leave my room until I come up with a CV. He's not having excuses, I'm not doing anything, I'm not doing anything. And he was like, if we sit down, we spend 3 years here, I'm sure we'll be able to come up with 1 or 2 things we've done, and we'll have a CV. And then he sent it to me. He sat there, we did the CV thing, and I applied for Google, and surprisingly, they accepted me. I had experience. And they accepted me, and that was it. I went there, I worked in the energy department, and there was oil and gas, and okay, I was like, this is something interesting. First thing I did, so whenever I find a new interest, I just don't say I'm interested in this. Next thing I go do is, I go take a course or something to really test how interested I am in this thing. So I took a course from the University of London, and it was for 6 weeks. It was very difficult. So it's a very difficult area of law. It was very difficult, and the first time I was like, nope. I was seeing megawatts, kilowatts. I was like, what is this? And my friend Timothy, he was like, just press on, because he's also into energy. And I pressed on and I did it. And then from energy, I started also really interested in oil and gas. And then I landed on power, and I've been on power. And here's the thing about building interest for yourself is that it allows you, for someone like me personally, it allows me to focus on one thing, and I do it very well. So I know I have Google alerts that inform me every day on happenings on the power sector, I have courses I'm taking, I have things I'm doing. And I kept on doing this. I did this in 3rd year, I did this in 4th year. And then LinkedIn, I don't know, when people say that LinkedIn or Instagram or social media presses them, I can't relate to it. I think maybe because I'm a very cynical person, I think half of the people are lying, so I'm really so I'm a very cynical person, so okay, delighted to have done this, good and fine. People embellish a lot, but I take what you're giving, and this makes sense to me. So I know what I did was that I followed all the industry professionals in the energy industry, and I looked at the courses they had taken, I looked at the schools they had gone to, and then that was where, before she announced, came in. So around my 4th year, I saw a lot of people in the energy industry graduating from this university, European University Institute. It was for professionals in the power sector, and I looked at it. I was like, oh, interesting. I went to check the fees, and the fees was enormous. I was like, oh, I came out. And then, in my final year, I saw that they had made an opening for people to come into the university. It was a mini master's program for 6 months. And I looked and I saw 2 slots. I don't think any student had gotten in. It was 2 slots in the world. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be competing against industry professionals that have experience and all of that. I never bothered applying. Then on the day of the deadline, something kept on talking to me. Just apply for it, all you have to listen. You apply, they don't answer you, move on. And then I sat down there on the spot, I wrote my personal statements, I wrote everything. I basically compounded, and that's the thing about having an interest. So it's easy to say, I think people cosmetize the interest. I come on LinkedIn, this is the shit you third year. You see a person on the 3rd year, they have 7 years of interest. And people cosmetize the interest and this. But then, another person like, you see interest, if someone comes to me and like, oh, I'm interested in the power sector, I'm interested in energy. I'll be like, okay, how long have you been interested in this? You're like, oh, no, since 1990. They're like, in these years, you've been interested in this thing, what have you done? It makes me know if you're serious, because it's easy to say, oh, I'm interested in this, and then you're not doing anything. And then it feels good. Energy enthusiasts, tech like this, it feels very good, but what are you doing? And then when I was looking at personal statements, everything I've done from 3rd year, the positions I've held, the things I've done, everything compounded. And I was like, here, I'm the first student to get into that program. It was just 2 slots in the world. And I was like, I don't have work experience, but here's what I've done. Here's what I'm interested in. I've studied up for 5 years, I have a understanding of regulation and all of that. I just really told them my experience, and then I got some. And it was very surprising. And to the question she asked, right, whether specialization changes you. So my answer would be that, because there's a whole argument, specialist, generalist, all of that. Here's what I think, right? I don't think any area of law operates in isolation. So I'm interested in power, but I need to also have very strong understanding of contracts for power purchase agreements. I need to have very strong understanding of land law, because when you're doing energy or power, there are surface rights, you're building on stuff. So I need to understand titles, land law and everything. I also need to understand company law, because there's some things you can't build or go into without being incorporated at the company. I need to understand commercial law because the oils and the electricity, they're not being dug out or being used for facts. These are commercial transactions. So there are a lot of areas of law that I'm still understanding, but then I'm understanding them with a focus to something. I'm not just learning land law or company law or whatever in isolation. If you focus to this thing, so you don't say because you're interested in something, you don't isolate yourself and just power to agreements or read and all of that. You're going to be a very shallow specialist in what you're doing. So you still need to put your hand into all of these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chidera. I think Sabote just entered at the right time because it would be great to have someone who is currently working give us more clarity, right? So, Sabote, I've heard that you only find your area of interest in the department you start working in. So, let's assume you're someone like Chidera, you're very interested in energy, but then you get into a law firm that focuses entirely on it. And from third year, you'll be preaching the energy gospel, right? So what do you, if you get into a firm that focuses on litigation, do you totally throw away that interest or do you do that as a side hustle?
So first and foremost, there's a lot of shit to be seen out there. Not to scare you, but sometimes you may find yourself in a firm where you're not really doing what you want to do. And it doesn't mean that when you find yourself in that kind of situation, you would not do your best, right? So at this level, though, what I normally advise undergraduates is that keep your interests. Yes, follow your interests, but don't be too fixated on them, right? Don't box yourself in and say, okay, I know someone, she's thinking, I've had this conversation before. She likes space law, so she just wants to do space law. So, interests are good. For example, Luther likes tax, right? And he's chasing his interests in tax. But my advice to you is don't box yourself in because when you finish law school, right, you're going to need a job. You're going to need to be working somewhere to gain some experience, to gain some money, and then also to make a living. So if you are offered the role, let's say you're offered the litigation role, right? Doesn't mean you reject that. So no. What I want to do is energy law. What I want to do is corporate commercial law. So I'm not going to do litigation. Take the job and do it. Whatever is worth doing well. So have your interest, chase them, post on LinkedIn, join the tax club, join the IP club, join various clubs and change your interest. But when you have an opportunity, right, the first thing you should think about at this level, the first thing you should think about is survival and gaining some experience and making a living. Then as you progress in the profession, then you can be able to express your interests more properly. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
I would say thank you so much for your answer. So the next question will go to Patrick. Okay, so Patrick, we've heard and seen instances where students say that they do not apply for an opportunity because they think they won't get it. So I want to know your take on self-rejection. Have you ever experienced it? And I mean, if you have, how did you deal with it? And how has it shaped you as a person and a student?
Thank you very much, Margaret. Good afternoon, everyone. So, just something that people find very difficult to believe about me, right? That honestly, I think I used to self-reject until my family. Self-rejection is like not putting yourself out there in the first place because you believe you're not going to get it at all. So self-rejection is rooted in a lot of things. Sometimes self-rejection is even rooted in some sense of perfectionism. So you could maybe have an extinct, okay, so self-rejection basically means that you don't put yourself out there at all because you don't believe in the first place. that you're going to get accepted, or that you're qualified to do anything, or that you don't really have the requisite qualifications to get whatever you want to apply for. That's self-rejection. You have rejected yourself before giving the recruiter the opportunity to assess you. You have assessed yourself by yourself and deemed yourself unworthy of that, and that is very bad. Do not do that to yourself. The first thing you owe yourself is to trust in yourself, rate yourself, even if people don't rate you, rate yourself. This is something I learned very late. And people find it difficult to believe about, because I think the first person I told this was Rita, and I think Chidi at some point. I told them that I really find it difficult to apply for things because one, I think I will not get it, and when I don't get it, because of the amount of energy I invest in applying, I'm going to be very devastated. And that fear of the devastation when I don't get it makes me not to apply in the first place, or made me not to apply in the first place. So, what self-rejection does to you is that you lose. You literally don't win at all, because you're not giving yourself the opportunity to attempt to win. Right? All those years, my first year, second year, third year, that I didn't apply for any internship because I was very scared, or because I felt I was not going to get it. I did not get anything eventually. I did not do anything with that time. Right? I did not get any opportunity. And what you see is that then I see my friends that were doing the weird things. I'm in a circle where people my circle is a circle of people that do things, like doings. Like you have people like Chief, you have people like Chief, you have people like Phinna, you have people like Nando, you have Musa. Like these are my inner circle. Look at Margaret has God. So when you're that person in the circle, that all that people can attribute to you is academics, something is lacking. So that was how I was throughout my first year. But then I think Luther was the first person that took the first essay competition I ever wrote for. Luther, the day of the deadline, I thought Luther was going to write for it from the beginning. The day of the deadline, Luther would say to me, "Have you finished your essay?" I told him, "I don't think I'm going to apply." But I told him to come to his room. I came to him, I think we had finished lecture very late. I went to him, we sat down, he read the essay, and he made sure I applied. I did not get the essay, I did not win. But then that was the first time I realized that I could actually put out something. So, one way of breaking away from self-rejection is also having people that believe in you. When I told Margaret that I used to self-reject, she did not believe it. Because these are people that rate you so much that they don't believe that you doubt yourself. I don't matter that I have problems. It's until recently that she started understanding that I can actually have problems, even academically. And that's the thing. So have people that believe in you as much as even when you do not believe in yourself. Have people that will fill the gap for you. Right? So these are people that help you break away from self-rejection. I'm still literally breaking away from self-rejection because it took a while. So what happens? How do you manage breaking away from self-rejection? Putting yourself out there. Like literally, after that essay, every essay competition I saw, I like when I said, even if I didn't eventually write it, I put it in I sent it to myself. Like I have this page on WhatsApp that's just like, I sent it to that page and made a mental note to write it. And then every internship opportunity this year, so I didn't tell you, in fact I interned somewhere, this year, as of December, as of end of December, I made a reminder that first half of January I would start applying for internships. The first place I applied for the first day of 4th of January, the 4th day of January 2022, I sent an internship application to Bawa Nikodalo. Like literally, I told myself that HR, that was the first Monday in the year. That she would come to her desk the first day and meet my CV. And that day, in less than 30 minutes, I got an offer. Like in less than 30 minutes, I got an offer. So, one thing happens, being intentional, that's another thing about breaking away from self-rejection. Being intentional about breaking away from self-rejection. So from that, I applied to a host of other places. Right? So now, because of the kind of person I am, right? I'm not a generic. I find it very difficult to specialize. There are a lot of people like that. And it has made me, I think also added to self-rejection because it felt like everybody had something they were strong in. Luther is strong in tax. Tara is strong in energy. Margaret is in power, is in energy. Chief is in human rights, all of that. And then, so I'm somebody that I have moved on from interests. I had to talk to mentors to understand what was wrong with me. Because if I was at I would find something, I'll be very much interested in it, and then I would read about it. And then one year later, 6, 7 months later, I would find something else. And I would find it very interesting. And I would pour all of myself into it, and somehow the other one would just be at the back. So what you would find that you're not losing. Stretch, like Chida said, that people stretch themselves so thin with interests. Right? It's number one, I agree to shade, say TikTok and second, you have your LinkedIn page, you have 1,100 and whatever interests there. Don't do that. My LinkedIn page, I just have law as my bio. Right? Because it means that I have found that what I found in my internships, right, is that all of these areas that I've thrown myself into culminates to build a grounding in me. I worked in the banking and finance department in Vienna. I did very well. I didn't find it difficult. I worked in the capital markets practice. I did not have initial background in capital markets, but then I was able to understand some of the things because I had read some things in the past. So, and then eventually, I saw myself doing something in what's it called, renewable energy, clean technology, rather, during this strike, because I felt like, why not? Someday I will see the future. So breaking away from self-rejection is very important. First, investing in yourself, to believe in yourself, and have people that will ground you. It's the gift of friends. Very
Okay, thank you so much. So we have, I think, 7 minutes left. So rather than restrict them to my questions, I think we'll just give each speaker 1 minute to just summarize or make any closing remark. So please, okay.
So I just want to add about internships and all of that applications. I think one thing I want to emphasize on is audacity. You need to have audacity. You need to believe in yourself. And why I mean this is in relation to applications. So for some weird reasons, so I am Patrick, as some of you know, we're very close friends, and we all had our timelines to get okay, I need to apply to this place, apply to that place. Patrick would apply, and he would answer me. For some weird reasons, I will apply, and I'll be edged. And sometimes I was like, it's nice to smell myself. And all of that. And so here the audacity comes in. I was like, there's no way I'm going to spend this year in my house. So what I will do is that I will apply. Nobody will answer me. I will go to my LinkedIn, look for someone that probably is working in energy or something I'm interested in. And I'll be like, hi, good afternoon, Chidera, and I'll start with who I've applied, so you know that I've gone through my process. But I would appreciate, I have a very great CV. I would say that, I have a very great CV, so you will know that maybe, and I'm like, I would appreciate if you just like, look into it and like, that happened for BNI, so I reached out to the media and I was like, I have a very great CV, I'm applying since March, since January, and I don't know. And then she looked at my CV and was like, okay, you do have a good CV. And she was like, okay, I'll look into it. The next day in the morning, HR called me. Right, and so for so many other friends. So the point is, you might apply to the formal process and get edged. So don't do that thing where you apply and say, you can't cross your legs. My philosophy in life is that there's always a way. On that, on top of it, above it, beside it. There's always a way, right? HR airs you, you go through that session. Associate airs you, you go through that session. Keep going through someone until you get what you want. No one sees me tomorrow. Oh, you thought I'd be an eye. How did you get it? I got it.
Thank you. I thank you, Patrick, for the whole self-rejection thing. So who look at my page and see all this? Let me show you my email box, and it's not even rejection. If they are kind enough to tell you sorry, that is like top, like they even saw your CV. This one, automatic reply, like we are still recruiting, we are still receiving. still not December, they're still receiving an annotation. And then you now see students like it. So I think what I want to advise for people that are still struggling with internships, right? So one thing I want to tell you is that as a first year, are there first years in the house? Okay, right. Don't be in a haste. Actually, there'll be a time that there'll be so many internships waiting for you that you cannot do. And I'm not saying it is what is happening. There are internships. You think these 5 top things that no, there are greater ones waiting for you, but you're rejected. Oh, sorry, I need to write my final exams. I have to defend my project. I'm in Lagos, I'm in Enugu, I'm in Ife. No, to come. If you're not getting, if you've applied through the normal process to the top firms, and why I'm particularly first is because you don't have anything useful to them on your CV at this stage. Maybe when you get higher, when you see your first GP, your cumulative, at least that GP place won't be blank. You have something there. In that instance, start small. Who has heard of OG, Breaky and Co? Nobody. That is where I started from. Now, you may not see it in my CV for obvious reasons, but it's on my LinkedIn. Because who knows, someone might become something great and even bringing traction to that small table-like chamber. So start small. If it's Akari, almost all my classmates started from Akari and associate. Go there, get the skill of law reporting and read those cases. You don't have to aim, spend second year aiming for you don't get it, third year aim, fourth year, you're still waiting for people to call you. Start small, right? There's too many opportunities.
So I'm just going to point out something okay, I'm just going to point out something very important to listen. So there's no honestly, initially when I first spoke, I said I intend somewhere that was irrelevant. There's no place that's irrelevant in truth. It's just that as you grow, you have to see your CV. But then at the starter level, everywhere is as important as anywhere. The truth is that it's even in these small, so-called small firms that they will have time to actually involve you. If you're going to be an first thing the HR will tell you is that you are responsible for your internship. You are responsible for your internship. So you can come here and sit for 1 month and do nothing, and nobody will call you, and they'll pay you at the end of the month. They'll pay you at the end of the month. But then, in this other so-called small places, it's probably just one thing, so they'll be particular about it. So now, what I want to point out to wrap up is that it's one, we've all spoken about getting internships and getting these opportunities, but there's another thing to get, and then the attitude when we get it. It's very important. People go to workspaces, people go through the rivers, the oceans to get internships. And then when they get those offers, they go there and mess themselves up. Literally mess themselves up. Like the HR said that I would never employ you because of an internship. People go there, poor attitude to work, you don't show up to work, you show up to work and say you are like that. You show up to work and you're leaving. You don't come to work. You don't give excuse. You don't tell anybody that you don't come to work. You come to work and then you are lazing around in the office, and they literally see you lazing. So it's a very bad thing where every associate has a bad thing to say about you. It's better you don't get the internship, so that you have a clean slate when you are applying for actual work. They can look at you, right? So when you go through all of this, the same amount of energy you invest in applying, please invest that same amount of energy, double it in working and making yourself outstanding. People have finished an internship somewhere, they told me that you can come back here anytime. Right? That is what you should be aiming for. To impress to the extent that they tell you can come back here anytime. You have a personal relationship with any of the partners. Right, so thank you very much.
Okay, finally, I'm going to extend from what you were talking about, attitude in internships. It's very, very important. And when you go to any firm, there are two things I was just going to stress on. One, you have to be confident. Okay, you have to be confident. I don't know, the side of, can you hear me? Yeah. You have to be confident. You have to exude a confidence aura. Like, you have to be really confident when you talk, the way you're going to meet a lot of other people, a lot of other interns. You're going to meet people from OAU, you're going to meet people from Inland, and these people, they are going to slap you with their confidence. So you have to have the exact amount of confidence. Like, if there's any, I'm going to call it amount. So you have to be confident. You have to talk confidently. Like, you have to be confidently. You know, when I interned at Lawpress before I went to Bangor in Uganda, the partner was talking to me because he was an entertainment law. He was specialized in entertainment law and IP and all that. So he was talking to me, telling me about asking different questions on entertainment law. And I was answering him, and even when I cannot answer, I'm going to find my way around it. But you have to do it confidently. And even when and you have to brandish your wings. Like, you know all your wings, all those that you got, so you have to brandish it. There's no how you talk with me, like you were talking, in that meeting I had with him that day. I mentioned that I was the winner of the National Entertainment Law Essay Competition. Like, I mentioned it. And I mentioned that I got an automatic employment from that competition. I mentioned, God, I'm not taking it up. But you have to brandish your wings. Like, that's very important. It's going to fill you with confidence. And it's not after you finish brandishing your wings and then when it now comes to actual work, then you now be zero. So as you say, brandish your wings and then hold it up with your work attitude. Come to work on time. Don't be late. If you're not going to be, don't come to work and be watching TV, or don't do those things. That don't make sense. You're painting a very bad picture with and the university. They'll say UNM people. That's what they'll say. And please, and that's it. You have to create relationships. Create relationship with partners, with associates. They are going to help you in future. And also friendship with your co-interns is very important. You have to create friendship with your co-interns. You don't know what's going to happen in the future, honestly. So you're going to get this internship. I'm very sure you're going to get this opportunity. But when they come, please sustain it well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phinna, Patrick, Nando, and Chidera. You learned something now, right? Okay, so I think just before I give the mic to Alvina, I was reading something yesterday and I saw that research says that if you listen to an inspirational statement, within 60 minutes you can't forget it. That means the impact of listening to something inspirational lasts only 60 minutes. So I think if we leave the stage,